Did you know that remarrying after 65 without knowing certain legal and financial truths could cost you everything you've worked for your entire life? I'm not exaggerating when I say that thousands of seniors lose their homes, savings, and even their dignified retirement every single year because they fell in love again without protecting themselves first. In this video, I'll reveal 7 shocking truths about late-life marriages that even most lawyers won't tell you, helping you protect yourself and your loved ones from devastating consequences that could leave you penniless and desperate in your final years. Let me tell you about Gerald, a retired school principal who thought he'd found happiness again at 68. After his wife of 42 years passed away, Gerald spent 3 years alone before meeting Vivian at a community center dance. She was charming, attentive, and seemed genuinely interested in his life stories. Within 8 months, they were married in a small ceremony attended by both their families. Gerald's adult children were cautiously happy for their father. But just 3 years later, Gerald sat in his daughter's guest bedroom, his hands shaking as he explained how he'd lost his home, most of his pension, and nearly $340,000 in savings. "If only someone had warned me," he kept repeating. By the time Gerald discovered these 7 critical truths I'm about to share with you, it was already too late. His golden years had turned into a desperate struggle for survival. Are you at risk of becoming the next Gerald? Let's make sure that never happens. Truth 1. Your Social Security benefits could be slashed by up to 40%. The moment you say "I do." Did you realize that walking down the aisle after 65 could slash your monthly income almost immediately? Many seniors don't understand this until they receive their first reduced benefit check after marriage. Financial advisors specializing in retirement planning confirm that remarriage can trigger what experts call the benefits cliff, an immediate and often permanent reduction in various benefits you've earned over decades of hard work. For widows and widowers receiving survivor benefits from a deceased spouse, remarriage before age 60 completely terminates those benefits. But even after 65, various benefit combinations can result in reductions of 30% or more. Take Brenda's situation. At 67, she was receiving $2,400 monthly from her own Social Security, plus a survivor benefit from her late husband Harold's higher earnings record. When she married Frank, her new husband, her combined benefit package was recalculated. Her monthly income dropped by over $900. That's nearly $11,000 per year gone forever. Brenda had no idea this would happen, and suddenly found herself struggling to cover her medications and basic expenses, despite now being in a 2-income household. Here's what you must do before considering marriage. Schedule an appointment with a Social Security benefits specialist who understands the specific impact of remarriage on your unique benefits situation. Don't rely on general information. Ask specifically, what will happen to my current benefit amount if I remarry? Then, get this information in writing. If the reduction is significant, consider alternatives like a domestic partnership agreement or cohabitation arrangement that doesn't trigger benefit reductions. Would you rather have legal paperwork or thousands of extra dollars each year to enjoy with your new partner? Act now before making a decision you can't reverse. Your financial security depends on it. Truth 2. You could be legally responsible for hundreds of thousands. In your new spouse's medical bills, are you prepared to potentially bankrupt yourself paying for a new spouse's catastrophic illness? This hidden danger lurks beneath the surface of every late-life marriage, and most seniors have absolutely no idea until they're facing financial ruin. Healthcare attorneys and elder law specialists warn that under laws in most states, spouses are legally responsible for each other's necessary medical expenses, regardless of when they were incurred or who agreed to them. It's called the doctrine of necessaries, and it gives medical providers the legal right to pursue either spouse for payment. Consider what happened to Lawrence, a 72-year-old retired electrician who married Doris after a whirlwind 6-month romance. Neither discussed their health histories in detail before marriage. Just 14 months into their marriage, Doris was diagnosed with advanced pancreatic cancer, requiring specialized treatments not fully covered by Medicare. Lawrence was blindsided when collection agencies began demanding he pay over $237,000 in medical bills. Within 18 months, Lawrence had depleted his retirement savings and was facing the possibility of losing his home, all for treatments his wife had received before her passing. You must take these protective steps immediately. First, exchange complete medical histories and insurance documentation before marriage. Second, conduct a worst-case scenario financial planning session with a financial advisor who specializes in senior healthcare costs. Third, and most importantly, establish a legal agreement, sometimes called a medical prenup, that explicitly limits each spouse's responsibility for the other's medical expenses. Many couples also maintain separate health expense accounts rather than commingling all their assets. Don't wait until you're facing hundreds of thousands in unexpected medical bills. By then, it will be far too late to protect yourself. Truth 3. Your children could be completely cut off from their inheritance. Without your knowledge, imagine spending decades building financial security for your children and grandchildren, only to have it redirected to people you barely know. This nightmare scenario happens more frequently than anyone realizes. Estate planning experts reveal that remarriage automatically changes the inheritance landscape in ways most seniors never anticipate. In many states, a new spouse automatically becomes entitled to at least 1/3 to 1/2 of your estate, regardless of what your will says. This is called the elective share. Even more troubling, without proper documentation, blended family situations create inheritance complications that can completely disinherit your biological children. This happened to Elaine, whose father Warren remarried at 70 to Phyllis. Warren had always promised that his lakeside cabin, which had been in their family for 3 generations, would go to Elaine and her brother. Warren even told them he documented this in his will. But after Warren passed away suddenly from a heart attack, Elaine was shocked to discover that because Warren and Phyllis had put the cabin in joint tenancy with rights of survivorship, a common practice for married couples, the property transferred automatically to Phyllis, outside of the will's provisions. Within 2 years, Phyllis had sold the treasured family property and given the proceeds to her own children. Elaine's family legacy was gone forever. You must take action today to protect your children's inheritance. Create an irrevocable trust for specific assets you want to guarantee for your biological children before you remarry. Establish clear separation of premarital assets through detailed financial agreements. And work with an elder law attorney who specializes in blended family estate planning, not just any lawyer. Remember, standard wills are frequently overridden by marriage laws. Don't leave your children's inheritance to chance. The standard documents most people rely on offer virtually no protection in remarriage situations. Truth 4. The devastating Medicaid 5-year look-back rule can destroy both spouses' retirement security overnight. This might be the most financially catastrophic truth on our list, and almost no one understands it until it's too late. Are you aware that getting married could make both you and your new spouse ineligible for nursing home coverage exactly when you need it most? Elder care attorneys and Medicaid specialists caution that when you marry, your new spouse's assets are counted as yours for Medicaid eligibility purposes, even if you've kept everything separate on paper. Under the infamous 5-year look-back rule, any asset transfers made within 5 years of applying for Medicaid coverage are scrutinized and may result in severe penalties and coverage delays. The consequences of misunderstanding this rule can be utterly devastating, as Timothy and Eleanor discovered. Both were widowed and in their mid-70s when they married. Each had modest savings intended to supplement their retirement and eventually help with long-term care. 3 years into their marriage, Timothy was diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease, requiring nursing home care that quickly exceeded $9,000 monthly. When they applied for Medicaid to cover these costs, they were shocked to learn they would need to spend down nearly all their combined assets before Timothy would qualify. Additionally, because Eleanor had gifted $30,000 to her granddaughter for college 2 years earlier, they faced a penalty period during which Medicaid wouldn't cover Timothy's care at all. Within 18 months, both Timothy and Eleanor were financially devastated, with Eleanor facing potential homelessness, just as her husband needed expensive memory care. Here's what you absolutely must do. Before remarrying, consult with a Medicaid planning specialist about implementing an asset protection trust strategy. These legal structures must be established at least 5 years before you need coverage, so start this process immediately. Consider long-term care insurance as an alternative to Medicaid dependency. Most critically, evaluate whether an elder-focused domestic partnership agreement might offer the emotional benefits of partnership without the devastating financial entanglements. The 5-year look-back rule shows no mercy. Protect yourself before saying "I do," or you could lose everything during the most vulnerable time of your life. Truth 5. Are you prepared to lose control of your home and assets while you're still alive? This question isn't hypothetical. It's a harsh reality many seniors face after remarriage. What most people don't realize is that marriage often creates immediate legal rights over your property that can be exercised without your consent or knowledge. Financial security experts have documented numerous cases where remarriage after 65 resulted in the effective loss of control over assets the senior had spent decades acquiring. In many states, your new spouse gains immediate interest in your primary residence regardless of whose name is on the deed, and may have legal rights regarding how that property can be used, refinanced, or sold. Consider Nancy's situation. At 69, this retired nurse married Howard after dating for just over a year. Nancy owned her home outright, a property she'd paid off after 30 years of mortgage payments. She kept the house in her name only, believing this protected her ownership. 3 years into the marriage, Howard began showing signs of cognitive decline and increasingly erratic financial behavior. When Nancy discovered he had accumulated nearly $60,000 in credit card debt, she attempted to refinance her home to protect it from potential creditors. She was stunned to learn that in their state, she couldn't refinance without Howard's signature, which his deteriorating mental state made impossible to reliably obtain. Effectively, Nancy lost control of her most valuable asset while still legally owning it. Take these essential protective steps right now. Before remarriage, transfer your primary residence and other significant assets into a revocable living trust that specifically maintains your sole authority over these assets. Establish clear boundaries through a property agreement that explicitly states which assets remain under your exclusive control, and draft healthcare directives and financial powers of attorney that prevent a new spouse from gaining automatic decision-making authority if you become incapacitated. Don't wait. Once you've said "I do," many of these protections become much more difficult or impossible to implement. Truth 6. The IRS has special tax traps that specifically target seniors who remarry. Did you know that walking down the aisle could trigger an immediate tax bill? Most seniors don't discover these hidden tax implications until they're facing penalties and unexpected liabilities that can devastate their careful retirement planning. Tax specialists who work exclusively with seniors confirm that remarriage after 65 creates unique tax situations that can dramatically increase your tax burden. When you marry, your tax filing status changes immediately, often pushing you into higher tax brackets. Additionally, combined incomes can trigger Social Security benefit taxation that neither of you faced as single filers. This happened to Benjamin, a 73-year-old retired federal employee who married Judith, 68, a retired teacher. Both had comfortable but modest retirement incomes that incurred minimal taxes when they filed as single individuals. Their first tax season as a married couple revealed a shocking truth. Their combined income pushed them into a higher tax bracket, and suddenly 85% of their Social Security benefits became taxable, compared to the 0% Benjamin had paid as a single filer. Their tax bill increased by over $11,300 in just 1 year, money they had budgeted for travel and enjoying their retirement together. Here's what you need to do immediately. Schedule a consultation with a tax professional who specializes in retirement taxation before you marry. Have them prepare a married filing jointly tax projection based on your current income sources and compare it to your current separate tax situations. If the marriage tax penalty is significant, consider legal alternatives to formal marriage, or restructure your income sources to minimize the combined tax impact. Timing is everything. Once you're married on December 31st, you're married for the entire tax year. with no way to undo the tax consequences. Truth 7. How can you truly know if love is real, or if you're being targeted for financial exploitation? This uncomfortable question must be addressed. The FBI reports that seniors lose more than $3 billion annually to financial exploitation, and romantic relationships are one of the most common pathways to such abuse. Adult Protective Services and elder abuse specialists report that financial predators often target seniors specifically for their stable retirement income, paid-off homes, and accumulated assets. These exploiters are sophisticated, patient, and shockingly effective at creating genuine-seeming emotional connections while harboring financial motives. Take Harriet's experience. At 71, this retired librarian met Victor at her church's senior social group. Victor was attentive, charming, and seemed genuinely interested in Harriet's life. After 6 months of dating, he proposed marriage, suggesting they combine households to save money and enjoy their golden years together. Within weeks of their wedding, Victor convinced Harriet to add his name to her bank accounts for convenience and to refinance her paid-off home to invest in a can't-miss business opportunity run by his nephew. 18 months later, Harriet's $280,000 home equity was gone. Her retirement accounts were depleted, and Victor disappeared with most of her liquid assets. By the time Adult Protective Services became involved, Harriet had lost nearly everything. Protect yourself with these critical steps. Before committing to marriage, conduct a thorough background check, including criminal history and financial background. Insist on complete financial transparency, including credit reports and debt disclosures. Introduce your potential partner to trusted family members or friends who can provide objective opinions. Most importantly, maintain financial independence by keeping separate accounts and assets for at least the first several years of the relationship. Remember this crucial truth. Someone who truly loves you will respect your need for financial security and independence. Anyone who pressures you to commingle assets quickly or makes you feel guilty for protecting yourself is sending a serious red flag you cannot afford to ignore. The love and companionship you deserve in your golden years shouldn't come at the cost of your financial security or your family's inheritance. By understanding these 7 shocking truths and taking action now, you can protect everything you've worked for, while still embracing the joy of a new relationship. Remember, proper planning creates freedom, not restrictions, and the right partner will support your need for financial security. Hit the like button right now if this information has opened your eyes to dangers you hadn't considered before. Share which of these 7 truths surprised you most in the comments below. You might help someone else recognize a risk they're facing. Subscribe to our channel and hit the notification bell to receive more life-changing information that protects your retirement security. Share this video with anyone over 60 who might be considering remarriage. You could literally save their financial future with one simple click.